Alrighty, so drone, that's what I'm going to talk about. So if you have any questions, feel free to just ping me in meeting chat or just shout out whatever questions you have. If you're lost, I'll back up. So for, I guess, the agenda today, I'll demo like a Wi-Fi DeOff attack, and then I'll get a root shell on the drone. Going to be pretty neat. Rules and ethics: don't hack stuff that's not yours. Drones are kind of sensitive, and like you shouldn't really be interfering with other communications or like jamming other communications that aren't yours. It's a little bit bad. So I'll talk about drones. In case you're not aware, especially in the past few years, we have like drones like flying and shipping stuff. We have those little robots that are around ASU that carry food and stuff. We got cameras flying around in the air running FTP, and telnet. It's very, what could possibly go wrong, right? So here's some like specs about drones. Drones typically operate on 2.4 gigahertz for the communication between like the controller and the drone. Whether that's like a radio communication or Wi-Fi, depends on like what kind of drone you have. Most drones also have cameras, and many drones typically run like Linux-based firmware. So I'll talk about like it's just an attack used to basically just kick someone off a Wi-Fi network. That's pretty much what it is. I'll talk about how it works. So the first thing is the attacker is going to spoof the target's MAC address. Then they're going to send a deauthentication packet to the access point. And what a deauthentication packet is when it's received by the access point is going to be like, okay, sure, like I'll terminate your Wi-Fi connection. And then, so if you spoof like the target's MAC address, then the access point thinks that, well, the target is requesting the deauthentication, and then it'll just cut them off. Basically, your target's now like disconnected from their access point. So like, what are deauths used for? Because just trolling isn't really that useful, I guess. But if you deauth someone, you can make like a fake Wi-Fi network that looks identical to theirs, like maybe with the same SSID, right? Or with like a similar landing page. If you deauth someone, they won't be able to connect to their like original network, but they'll connect to yours because it looks the same. And then once they input like creds to like their landing page, like you can monitor that and you got creds. Or what you can do is if you deauth someone, if they try to reconnect to their network, if you're listening for packets with like AeroDump or something, and they type in their Wi-Fi username and password, if you open up that packet capture in Wireshark, you have their password hash, you can start brute forcing that hash, and then you got creds for the Wi-Fi network. If you guys remember Dan Petro from Bishop Fox, he did a talk a while back. He made this RIC remote controller. The way it works is it just deauths an entire network. Hopefully one of those is a Chromecast TV, and it'll just connect itself to the Chromecast TV because, well, no one else is connected to it. And it just plays Never Gonna Give You Up. And for today, what I'm going to be focusing on is if you deauth someone from their drone, the drone's going to like fall out of the sky, right? Because no one's connected to it. And an attacker can connect to the drone with their own controller and then just fly it away. And then, oh no more drone. And then live demo. So I'm going to...
Before we get into this, could you go over once again like what deauthing actually is?
Yeah, sure. So a deauth is just an attack to just kick someone off of Wi-Fi network. So if I'm just, your average Joe, and I'm just sitting at my computer connected to Wi-Fi, if an attacker does a deauthentication attack on me, I'm no longer connected to the Wi-Fi access point, right?
All right, okay, I get it now. Thank you.
Okay, yep, no problem. Oh shit, let me get this battery going. All right, wouldn't it be hilarious if like this battery just died in the middle of my demo? That'd be really funny.
It'd be hilarious if you had to like plug something in.
That would be that would be hilarious, wouldn't it? I know, right?
Next hour.
Exactly. So I'm just going to connect my phone to this drone because this drone has like an interface that has like a phone app to fly the drone. Hold on, let me just, oh, here it is.
How far away does the Wi-Fi signal for the drone work?
I've never taken this outside, but I mean, just judging from like videos on YouTube, like maybe about like only like about a basketball court. This drone's kind of shit, not gonna lie. Like this particular one.
Roger that.
All right, I'm just gonna. Okay, yep. So I'm connected. Let me turn on my camera so you guys can see this. Okay, yep. So this is my drone over here. It's kind of bad, and I have like this phone app that flies the drone or whatever, right? And as you can see on my screen over here, I just included like a screenshot of like just I'm connected to the drone via Wi-Fi. So these are just like the steps, like just the commands to run a DeOff attack. And so I'll demo that and pair it. Hold on, give me a sec. I gotta share. There we go. All right, so I actually have a Wi-Fi adapter because by default, virtual machines can't run Wi-Fi. So I have a Wi-Fi to USB adapter. So my VM can connect to Wi-Fi networks. So this is my Wi-Fi adapter. I just ran LS-USB on it. If I do a good old IPA, this is my interface for my Wi-Fi connections. What I want to do is I want to start monitoring for all like what you call it. Yeah, I want to start monitoring all traffic just like in the air. So to do that, I'm going to put sudo airmon ng start, and I'm just going to put this interface right here. So this is just going to put my interface in monitor mode.
So is Airmon NG specifically for like your little Wi-Fi card, or is that some package that you can just install?
Oh, this is a package you can install. This is part of the Aircrack suite, which is I guess it's a framework for Wi-Fi hacking. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
It's what?
I said it's pretty old.
Oh.
Airmon NG's been around forever. It's the standard go-to for all Wi-Fi cracking. It's actually they basically sponsored the OSWP, which is an offensive security course, just on Airmon.
Oh, is that the one you just got?
Mm-hmm.
Sick. If I do an IPA again, you can see that my interface has been renamed to WLAN 0 mon. What I want to do is I want to start like just capturing traffic in the air. So I'll do sudo arrow dump ng, and I'm going to specify the interface WLAN 0 mon. That's going to chug for a bit. And as you can see, there's just a bunch of MAC addresses of access points and stations. These are individual devices. These are access points. I'm in Vista del Sol at ASU right now, so you can see the MAC addresses of a bunch of these access points. There's like a Google Home, some like Dell hotspot or whatever. The one I'm concerned with is this UDIRC, FPV, blah, 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 because that's what my drone is. So we know that the MAC address of the drone is this right here. So I want to figure out what devices are connected to that. So I'm going to do sudo arrow dump ng. I'm going to specify the BSSID of the drone. I'm going to specify the channel, which you can see right here is channel 2. 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi networks have, what is it, 11 channels? And then I'm going to specify the wireless interface of WLAN 0 mon, which is right here. So this command is just going to give me all the devices connected to the drone. Should pop up in a sec, unless I'm just a buffoon. Yep. Okay. So one device is connected to the drone. It's this 6031 right here. This is actually my phone. So now what I want to do is I want to disconnect my phone from the drone. So I'm going to do sudo replay ng. I'm going to do a DeOff attack. How many DeOff frames I want to send? Just a big number, like 4,000. I'm going to specify the access point is going to be the drone. And then the client is going to be my phone, which is the drone's controller. And then I'm going to specify my wireless interface WLAN 0 mon. Okay, so now I'm going to start like flying my drone, and you guys will hear the blades spinning. And then once I hit enter, you should hear the blade stop because my phone will be no longer connected to my drone. All right, and as you can see, my phone is just disconnected. I can't do shit. Like I'm spamming like these controls on my phone. I'm not even connected to the drone because I'm currently sending deauthentication packets. So that's the end of the DeOff attack. Are there any questions before I move on?
Would you have to do the DeOff attack at the same time that you already have created a duplicate of their Wi-Fi network? Or would you do this and then create their Wi-Fi network?
Oh yeah, I would create their Wi-Fi network first, and then I would DeAuth them, because once they're disconnected from their original Wi-Fi network, they'll just go through like their Wi-Fi settings or whatever, and they'll see an identical one, which would be mine.
Okay, so you would want that running and then do this.
Yep.
Usually. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Would you have to have their password already?
You can do the second attack that I mentioned. Hold on, I'll switch to my presentation. Yeah, so to like capture like a Wi-Fi password, what you can do is if you DeAuth someone first and then start listening for packets with like arrow dump, if they reconnect to their Wi-Fi network and put in their username and password, you can open up that packet capture in like Wireshark or something, and then you can find the packet sent to authenticate to the Wi-Fi network. And then like right there, you have their username and password. If it's encrypted, then you can use like John the Ripper or whatever to start brute forcing the hash. I believe WEP is unencrypted. Is that right? It's either unencrypted or just really bad encryption. The newer ones.
Encryption.
Say that again.
WEP is a type of encryption. It's called wire equivalency policy. It's really bad, but it is encryption.
The good one would be WPA2, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah. So you would want to use those ones if you're a blue team. WP sucks, I guess. And that's how you could get like a username and password for a Wi-Fi network. Any more questions before I move on? All right. So moving on. So this particular drone I've got is vulnerable and it hasn't been patched, which is kind of ass. It has anonymous FTP and telnet. Like it's just terrible. It's just so bad. And here are just some examples of bad FTP permissions. I didn't have a picture for this, so I just put a picture of a monkey. An example of bad FTP permissions would be like anonymous login. That just means if anyone can log in without credentials to FTP. No local chroot is bad. When you chroot into a directory, that means like you're stuck in that directory. You can't go any higher. If you have no local chroot in FTP, then a user can just view directories higher than their home directory. And if you have read-write permissions on sensitive files, then you could potentially, an attacker could potentially like overwrite like Etsy shadow, which is exactly what I'm going to do for this attack. Let's see. All right, I'm going to start string parrot now. Alrighty. So the first thing I need to do is I need to stop monitoring because I can't really connect to my drone while I'm still in monitor mode. So I'll do an IPA. I'll take this. I'll do a good old sudo airmon -ng stop WLAN 0 mon. I'll hit enter. And airmon. ng. There we go. If I do IPA again, my interface has stopped monitoring, and now it's just a regular old interface that I can use to connect to the drone. Fortunately, oh, I already connected. Anyway, this particular drone doesn't have any creds. It's just an open Wi-Fi network, so anyone can connect to it. So if you just hit this, or you can just open up your Wi-Fi and then connect to the drone's Wi-Fi network. I'll create like a temporary directory. All right, so I want to find out the IP address of the drone. If I do IPA, I know my IP address is .21. If I do IP route, then I can figure out my default, which is .1 over here. And I know this is the right one because this right here is my interface. So if I do an nmap scan on the drone, I'll let that chug. There we go. So here's my nmap scan for the drone. Port 21 is open. Anonymous FTP login allowed. Very cool. And port 23 is open. Telnet. So first things first, you can try brute forcing the Telnet login. I wasn't able to do it. I'm not patient enough. You could do like Hydra, what is it, -l root to log in with username root -p. You could use like RockU. With telnet and then 192.168.0.1 port 23. I'll do verbose output. So this right here is a command to start brute forcing the root password on the telnet at the drone. If I hit enter, there we go. And it's just attempting to log in. Oh crap, hold on. I didn't replace the shadow file. Oh my God. Just ignore this for a second. All right, nothing happened. You didn't see anything. All right, so if I start brute forcing, what? Excuse me, hello? That's weird. Anyway, none of those should have worked. Let's see. Live demos, am I right? Anyway, we don't know the root password for the drone. I don't know why this brought anything back. Huh. Anyway, we don't know the telnet password. If we look again at our nmap, anonymous FTP is allowed. So what we can do is FTP into the drone as anonymous, no password required. I can view the directory with an ls, and we can read and write files to the file system. So my plan is if I cd into etc, if I ls, if I look at the shadow file, which contains the encrypted passwords for Linux file system, it's just pointing to Jefferson2 shadow. So I'll cd into Jefferson2. And right here is the shadow file. Let's see. So the idea is I can delete the password hash from the shadow file and effectively just remove the root password. And then the root user will just no longer have a password, and I would be able to telnet straight into the drone without authenticating. So if I get shadow to download the file, it was a success. And if I look over here, this is the shadow file for the drone. And this right here in between these colons is the encrypted password for the drone. I think like this part tells like what kind of encryption it is. I think this is the salt, and like this is the actual password. I'm not super sure, don't quote me on that. If I vim shadow, I can just, directly modify this, right? So I'm just gonna delete this real quick. I'll save and quit. And this is the new shadow file. And I'm gonna upload this to the drone, and then it's no longer gonna have a root password. Let's see, so I'll delete shadow to delete the old shadow file. Then I'm gonna put shadow. So now I have updated the drone to contain this shadow file, which does not have a root password. Does anybody have any questions? Alrighty. So I'm just going to exit out of FTP. Then I'm going to telnet into the drone. So the login is going to be root, and then no password is required. And I have a root shell on the drone, and I can just modify the drone's firmware and whatever. If I go into, I think it's the mount directory. If I go into pick, all the pictures the drone has taken would be over here. And you can actually just capture these from FTP. So if I exit out of telnet, if I go back to FTP, login is anonymous. If I cd into mount/pick, here it is, the picture a drone took. If I get that, I can just steal all the pictures this drone has taken. Here it is. Let's see, demo. And it's just, a picture the drone took right here. So you can steal all the files and photos from the drone, which is kind of bad. Really sucks. But yeah, root shell, that's pretty much all I got for today. Are there any questions? This is just supposed to be a really short meeting. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about how to patch this, because everybody loves being blue team, right? All right. So unless you have you can't really stop an attacker from sending DeOff packets, or at least to my understanding, you can't. But you can take some steps to, I guess, patch the drone. So we were able to connect to the drone because it had an open Wi-Fi network. Anyone could connect to it without a password. So what you would want to do is you would want to ship each drone with a unique and complicated password to the Wi-Fi network. Just don't use super basic default creds for the Wi-Fi network, or else anyone would be able to connect to it anyway. use WPA2 so that captured packets would be encrypted. So it would take a long time to brute force the long password. We talked about this a bit already. And then you would want to restrict FTP permissions because that FTP login was so nasty. Disable the FTP login, or at least the anonymous FTP login. You would want to enable local root so that you won't be able to view like higher directories and stuff. And then you would want to make read-write permissions more strict. Being able to read and write to the shadow file was nasty. It was really bad. Don't do that. And just telnet's pretty bad. It's not encrypted. If you intercept like a telnet connection, open up in Wireshark, you'd be able to see like everything, including creds. You would want to use something like SSH instead, which is encrypted, and then you won't be able to view the contents, or at least I don't think so. Or even better, like I don't know why this drone even has telnet or FTP, so you just want to just get rid of those services. You might need FTP to like transfer files from like the drone to like whatever app you have on your phone, but you would definitely want to restrict those permissions for FTP. Are there any more questions? Because that's really all I have for this meeting.
You can have your operating system avoid or just ignore DeOff packets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then you're just completely. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can ignore a lot of packet types with Wi-Fi, like 802.11, if you just want to, like, if when we're creating like malicious drops for stuff, one of the defense mechanisms that a wireless protection system will implement is like DeOff rogue users, or they'll even DeOff their own users from joining your rogue wireless network. But you can just ignore those DeOff packets in itself, and it will just say like, oh, I don't understand this packet. That's great. Let's continue serving up this device or connecting to the device I want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you would want to like add that to your drone so it doesn't just fall out of the sky or whatever. Yeah.
Is the DeOff packet the responsibility of the drone or is it of the phone?
I think that would be the responsibility of the phone. What is that? Is that right? Because the phone would be the client and the drone's the access point.
Yeah, so I joined a little late, but if the phone is the phone the access point you said, or the drone is the access point?
The drone's the access point.
Yeah, so then it would be what you would do is for the drone itself, you could like say, hey, don't listen to DeOff packets. They're just trying to like DeOff all users who are connected to it. But the phone, since assuming that you don't control the phone, or if you do, you can ignore DeOff packets on the client side as well, so that no one would be able to interrupt your attack. So both the client and the access point would be able to ignore DeOff packets. But on the security side, assuming you only control the access point, you don't control the user. And this is in a larger context of Wi-Fi, not just for this particular drone, because this is just essentially a peer-to-peer network. It's not true ad hoc peer-to-peer, but essentially that's how it's being treated. But that you can only control it on one side, the device that you control. But since you control both devices, in this case, you can ignore DeOff packets on both devices, and you would want to do that on both devices to make it immune to it being DeOff.
Gotcha.
Did you look? Sorry, Nathan, go.
So if you're doing this, every single time we've had to tell something to ignore DeOff, we're dealing with, well, in some cases, kernel modules. If you have, let's say, some type of Wi-Fi stack that is hacked together, which is common on particular embedded devices coming from like China. Like we ran into this problem before, where they would have a Wi-Fi stack, but then they'd have a application layer on top of that that was handling a lot of requests, which was very odd, but it is like a hack that some people use with low power devices. Texas Instruments has used this hack before in some of their major wireless products as well. You would have to do it on both levels, not just the kernel, but also on their application stack that sits on top of it. So at the bare minimum, it's going to be a kernel level type item, and it can go up from there to higher end applications, but or higher up on the stack, further away from Ring. So yeah, I hope that answers it. The true answer is it depends. But if you're just doing it against a regular Linux system, like it's going to be a change on on how they are handling on the networking stack itself. So some developments or some OSs will have that on the kernel level, and some will not have it on the kernel level.
Hey, Thad, did you ever look into if it's possible and how to pivot from the drone into the phone that's connecting to it? Or can you not make requests the other direction?
Oh, that'd be, yeah, that'd be. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess if the phone is still connected to the drone while you're still en route, yeah, you might be able to. I'm not sure about that though.
I guess if the phone's connected to your network, then you have access that way. Well, okay. Poorly thought out question, my bad.
Anything else? That's all I got for my presentation.
Nice job.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Were there any like big mistakes that you made while you're getting this presentation ready? Like, are there any common things to watch out for?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would watch out for is, I mean, I did this the first time. Make a backup of the shadow file before you delete it. That's definitely something you would want to do. Backups are pretty nice. If I didn't, like, I almost deleted it without taking a backup, but yeah, I caught myself.
Do you know what app you use to control the drone?
Oh yeah, so this drone came in the box, and the box is like, oh yeah, download this app. It's like a proprietary thing, I think. It's specific towards the drone. I think this one is called UDIRC FPV. This is like a UDIRC brand drone. I can scroll back up. There it is. This is the drone, the specific drone I used, and it has like an app that connects to this particular drone. It's called UDIRC FPV.
Nice quote.
Ah, yes, exactly.
I wonder if you could disassemble the app and then figure out what's going on.
Oh, speaking of that, let's see. Oh no, wasn't one. This was a while ago, but I didn't have that particular drone. Let's see. So there's a brand of drones called DJI or whatever. They have a drone called the Phantom 3, and they have an app for that. I just downloaded the like a zip file for the DJI Go app. This is an old version, by the way. They patched this out. If you do a good old grep-ri password or whatever, let's see. There you go. Root FTP password, hard-coded creds. So yeah, that's also a real problem. If you like download the app, you can just like unzip it
and just grab for password. If it's just in plain text, then you have the creds for that way. This is right here. Yeah, there we go. Username root, password Big9 China. And that's something else you could do to get creds if you just download like their app, and if it's in plain text, then sucks for them. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I'm done. You can go ahead.